This is the EVP Podcast. You're damn right you're listening to the EVP Podcast with your hosts over here. I'm Ghosty.
And I am Beaker.
And it is back from Thanksgiving month and into Christmas month.
Okay.
Yeah, Haunted Christmas month. Are you ready for Haunted Christmas month?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I keep telling people, like, everyone's talking about spooky season isn't over. No, spooky season is not over. This is spooky season.
Yep.
You know that song, The Most Wonderful Time of the Year?
Yeah, it's when
There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Scary ghost stories, bitches.
Yeah.
That's what we're bringing to you this month.
Hell yeah. It don't stop all year round.
All year round. Christmas was a time to sit around the fireplace and tell ghost stories.
That's right. You know when spooky season is for me?
Every day.
Every time it gets dark.
Every day.
Yeah,
all
it gets
day,
dark
every
day.
We bring you the spooky 365.
Speaking of spooky stuff, you've
or
done any
maybe
spooky?
52.
You done any spooky stuff lately? 52 times?
Yeah.
A year?
Twice. Well, there's 52 weeks in a year, so we bring you the spooky about 52 times a year.
That's right. About, give or take.
I want to say 365, but we're not giving you an episode every day.
No, that's a lot. That's too much.
We don't have that much time.
Yeah. Any spooky stuff coming up for you, or have you done any?
Just not really.
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet either.
We need to.
Yeah, we did. We do. It's cold as shit outside though right now.
That means the ghosts are more likely to talk to you. So we have this theory.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was in Estes at the Stanley Hotel, Colorado, yes.
Mm-hmm. Creating a new method. When you were in Estes creating
when
a
I
new
created
method.
a new method, way before, actually, I went there in roughly 2015. I think the Estes method came about in 2017, just saying. I had nothing to do with it. Yeah. I'm not going to take credit for creating any sort of method, but they said they noticed in the wintertime when it gets colder, it seems like the ghosts are more active.
Well,
I think that's for a couple different reasons. You go first.
Because nobody's there.
Right.
And they're more prone to just, be themselves. And without all the activity being all out and about and people doing shit, you're more likely to see things happen and hear things happen when nobody's there.
Yeah. So that's one of the theories, right? The other one is when have you've been touched by a spirit or by a ghost, right? Mm-hmm. What did it feel like?
It felt like a real touch, but
what was the temperature?
You know what?
Whenever someone goes on a ghost hunt and they think they found a ghost, they feel a cold spot, right?
Cold spot, but I actually never got the coldness when
in
I got
the winter.
touched.
Yeah, but in the wintertime, everyone's like, "Oh, there's a cold spot over here." Uh-huh. Well, if every room or every part of where you're investigating, especially if you're outside, is a cold spot, yeah, they can blend in a lot better.
They sure can. Free range. They have free range.
Exactly.
All cold spots.
All cold spots.
Let's see.
So spooky all year round.
You still haven't seen Heretic yet?
No, I haven't seen Heretic.
Oh my God, you need to hurry up.
Maybe I'll see it on today after we're done recording.
You should, because we should talk about it.
Yes. So I just want to give a little follow-up. Last time we were here, we had Lurch. Thank you for being here, Lurch.
Thanks, buddy.
We really appreciate you taking the time out every day to be with us. We tried Uncle Grandpa Jägermeister's Christmas soda, whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah, we did.
And I remember saying it kind of tastes like a flat Coke, kind of. And he said it had a little bit of spice to it. So we did some research, and by we, I mean Brandy, did some research, and comes out it's like the base for this soda is kind of a mixture between Coca-Cola and root beer.
Yeah.
So we went to a restaurant this morning and mixed a little
theory.
Coca-Cola and root beer. And what do you know? It tastes very similar to the Christmas soda.
Just missing some of those spices.
If you can't find this Christmas soda, mix a little Coke and root beer and maybe put in a little nutmeg.
If you don't have that, maybe just a little splash of Dr. Pepper might pep things up a little bit.
Yeah, because it does have 23 flavors of deliciousness in Dr. Pepper.
Mm-hmm. That's probably all those spices.
That's your Christmas soda right there.
Go. You're welcome.
We'll make it easy for you.
But
and cheaper.
That did taste like the base. That's for damn sure.
Very similar to Coke and root beer mixed.
So today's episode, we're gonna stay local to Utah.
We like staying local. Mm-hmm. Just like another ghost hunter that we know.
That stays local.
That stays local to his area, and we'll talk about him in just a little bit.
All right. This place is up in Kaysville. Someplace, or just on the outskirts of Kaysville.
Just a little north of Salt Lake.
Yeah,
we're looking about maybe half an hour.
Less than, if that.
North of Salt Lake.
Yeah. So this place is called Kay's Cross. And there's a lot of rumors and speculation about this place. And I never really heard about it much up until the last maybe 5 years ago or so.
I want to say about that for me as well. Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah,
So here's the thing is, like, looking back into it, it was kind of like, I mean, this thing's been around since, 1966? The 40s. The 40s. It's been around since the 40s, right? The area was kind of closed off to people until 2013, which is probably why we really didn't hear a lot about it until recently.
Right, and which makes sense is why we haven't heard much about it. But the locals have known about it forever.
Yes.
The locals have known about this since,
the locals of Kaysville.
Yeah, the locals of Kaysville have been hip to game for about, I would say, since about the 60s.
Yes,
60s.
Hip to game.
Hip to game since about the 60s. And this thing looks like some really crudely constructed rocks all thrown together.
This damn thing is 20 feet tall.
It's like, I think I think it was 18 exactly, but yeah, pretty close to 20 feet tall. And it was this cross made out of these, these rocks all put together. And there was a lot of these rumors that went about this whole thing. Because when people found out about it, knowing that this land that this sat on was owned by polygamists, there were all these stories about there was a polygamist who buried his 7 wives there.
20 feet tall, 13 feet wide.
13 feet wide.
This thing was huge.
Huge. With a big letter K in the middle of it. On both sides.
Which is why it's called Kay's Cross.
Also because it was in Kaysville.
Yeah, more because the giant K on it, but Kay's Cross.
So here's let me read some of these stories that they talk about. So that it was built by a polygamist who murdered her 7 wives and buried them around the base. He buried them around the base, and before hanging himself.
Did we get what's his name again?
They didn't give a name of
Charles Eldon Kingston.
Oh, but that's who owns the land. But these were just the stories that were being thrown out there.
Okay, so he was the leader of this polygamous family, though.
Yes. So the people that own the land,
someone in that little polygamous clan there, did this.
Yeah. So they say that he murdered his 7 wives and that entombed the heart of one of the wives inside of the cross before hanging himself. This was one of the crazy stories talked about in here. And then in another version of the story, I guess in some of the stories he doesn't hang himself, and then in some stories he puts the heart inside of it, and some he doesn't.
Yeah, like he buried his wives all around the cross and then hung himself from a tree nearby.
Yeah, and the tree nearby, and then
put like their bones or the heart of somebody like.
Well, they see small bones. They found small bones because there's a lot of satanic rituals over there, where people,
animals.
Yeah, animals just
crazy.
Die. So people talk about there's scattered bones around the base of the cross. That they see ghosts, they see witches, werewolves. They see people doing rituals out there where they're sacrificing things. And depending on who's telling the tale was depending on how you were going to hear the story.
So here's another interesting story or theory of how the cross came to be. So this claims that there's a person named Krishna Venta, who is a religious figure. He said he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ himself.
The Messiah.
Now, this dude, originally born as Francis Penkovic, he was a cult leader based in California. And it was believed that he had ties here in Utah. According to a gentleman named Malvern Hansen, who is a member of the Kingston clan, Venta convinced the family to construct the cross as a symbol of knowledge. Hansen noted in his journal that the K on the cross represented knowledge rather than Kaysville or Krishna. And some later speculated The cross was designed with grooves to hold religious texts, which were intended to be covered by stained glass, but that ended up not happening when Venta moved back to California. This dude was later killed in a bombing orchestrated by 2 of his own followers in 1958.
So you're getting way ahead of things here. So we'll get to that. You're getting way, way ahead of things here. So we will get to more of his history.
The history of how the cross came to be.
So this was one of the there's multiple theories about how and who built this cross. And that was one of them was Krishna Venta.
That guy.
And so there was a lot of weird speculations about this cross and how it was built and why it was built. And a lot of people that when they started finding out about this place, they were, really curious. And so they were, a lot of teenagers were going out there and trying to doing dumb teenage shit. So a lot of people are going out there.
Like the video of the teenager we saw, trying to break in.
Exactly. So a lot of teenagers were going out there. They were getting drunk. They were hanging out. They were getting stoned. They were going out and spray painting pentagrams all over things and stuff. And then some of the things they talk about were, which also got kids intrigued to go out there, was that if you got caught trespassing, the owners of the land would come out with a salt shotgun and shoot at you. And so that was one of the things where, if you can get away with that, you were cool. They also talk about at night when the full moon was out and the moon was glowing on the cross, that if you touched it, it would burn you. I don't know why that was a thing, but that was a thing.
Because it's mystical.
And
magical.
So some of the people that grew up in the area, they had talked about, they were interviewed about the cross and what they knew about it growing up. This one lady, her name's Linda Arnell. So she grew up in Kaysville. She still lives in the area. She first hiked out to the cross in the 60s and with a group of her fellow 5th graders. And she said, "I was shocked the first time I saw it because it was so large." She remembers the horizontal part of it was the size of a casket. We thought for sure there were bodies inside of the cross. This one guy, his name's Keith Ellison. He also grew up in the area, and he saw it for the first time in the 80s. And there was a elementary school playground that bordered the hollow that it was connected to. So
that's still there.
Yeah, it is still there. And so, this thing sits inside of the forest. And you can't see it from the roads or anything like that. It's a pretty good size, and there's just these meandering walkways that go throughout the forest.
Maybe I'll take a screenshot of Google Maps and post that because there's neighborhoods around this whole hollow, but there's just a big chunk of land there's nothing built on.
Right, and it's just there's just a big open land that sits in, and you can't really see it from anyone's house, but if you walk through the land, you can easily get to it within 5 minutes.
Some of the houses, if you just, obviously we're not saying break into people's yards, but some of the houses, if you lived in the yards in those houses, you could walk from your back door to the cross in less than 5 minutes.
You're right. So this guy in the 80s, he talked about, during recess, we snuck under the fence and hiked through the woods. He admits, when we came to the clearing and saw the enormous cross, I immediately got that uh-oh feeling and felt like I had crossed some kind of line in my life. This other guy, his name's Roger Gardner. His childhood home bordered the property, and he could have walked from the front door from his front door to the base of the cross in under 5 minutes.
So 4 minutes from the back door.
Yep. But he never once visited it because he remembered his dad telling him and his brothers, "Only go to Kay's Cross if you want big trouble." So a lot of the locals there were scared of it because, a lot of their parents were telling them to stay away from it. So they had this, fear of it. But, of course, the teenagers are going to go there and cause a lot of trouble. So later on, it was blown up, like you were saying, in 1992, February 15th.
I didn't mention that.
Oh, maybe you did not.
I mentioned that the dude was killed in a bombing in 1958.
Yes.
Which is way before what you're talking about that happened in 1992.
So on February 15th of 1992, this did get blown up. And when it did get blown up, there was a lot of rumors behind who did it because nobody took the blame for it. Nobody knows who did it. And there's a lot of people pointing in, every direction, but a lot of what seems to be the consensus is that it was probably the local police.
Yeah, because they were tired of people going there.
Because, they were tired of people doing crazy shit there and doing all that. And they were probably in cahoots with the landowners. And
Quite possibly.
And because of where it
Or
sits...
the crooked cops, and they're like, we're not telling landowners.
Yeah,
we're
we
just
don't want
sneak in there. We don't,
no criminals here, see?
Man, see?
So it seems like they just did that to keep all the teenagers from going there and doing dumb shit. And from, because landowners, it was kind of... Come to find out what really went on there, they probably don't even want that there anymore. And they were actually able to turn this into profits because around 2013, they started using the land as like a little spook alleyway.
Yeah, then, like a haunted attraction.
Yeah. But one of that guy, that Krishna Venta guy, it comes to find out there's a lot of weird stuff about that dude. So he was like... So this land, like we were saying, this was owned by the Kingstons, this polygamous family.
Yes.
And of course, with this land being owned by the polygamists, all these polygamists that live on the land together, they're all family. They all kind of like want to hide, what they're doing from the rest of the world. But so they had this like co-op, right? The society, this co-op society, and the whole clan was the Kingston clan, and the Charles Eldon Kingston, he was the patriarch. And they, like I said, they became, withdrawn from society and all that. But anyways, they got pretty wealthy and all that stuff because of all the stuff that they had done. But this one dude, Hansen, he had wrote about all the stuff that had gone down on this property around then. Let's see. He had helped build the cross, actually. So this guy, Hansen, he helped build the cross in the 40s. And... he had written about it in his journal. Was given, this guy was given sections of this journal to write about and stuff. And a lot of the stuff was forgotten about. So this is what the true origin of Kay's Cross and how it came to be and the real story about it. And all these, crazy rumors and stuff that went on are just kind of craziness. So of course that Krishna Venta, he was claiming to be the reincarnation of Jesus. He was saying he's the Messiah and all that. And in the summer of 1946, the members of the Kingston Co-op had met with this guy named Francis Penkovich, and who was claiming to be the Messiah and all that stuff. And he began preaching his gospel, and he was actually stationed in the army here in Salt Lake City at Fort Douglas. And this was in 1945. And so he ends up, going out there to Kay's or to those people's land, I guess, and starts preaching. I don't know what drove him there, but he starts preaching to these members of this family. And he was invited to preach there. I guess they invited him so he goes there, he starts preaching, and he's going there quite a bit. And he ends up making quite an impression on the family to where he's going there a lot. After a few meetings, Hansen and Charles Kingston confided to each other that they didn't really believe this guy was the Son of God, and despite the skepticism, they still were letting him come, and he kept persuading people from the Kingston clan to end up building this stone cross for him on their property as a tribute to Jesus's crucifixion. So this cross was erected to, as a tribute to Jesus. It was what this was for.
Okay.
And that the K on the cross did not stand for Krishna, it did not stand for Kaysville, and did not stand for Kingston, but for knowledge. K as in knowledge. Knowledge. And unlike a standard crucifix, the base, the arms, and the head spread away from the center junction. So that's a little different than your regular cross. The grooves were made in the arms to serve as shelves for tomes of scripture, which would then be covered by stained glass doors. But Hansen records that Penkovich moved on to California later that year while the cross was still under construction. So this dude just up and left while this thing was still being built. And he moved on to California, was completely forgotten about here. And while living in California, he started this whole other cult, the WKFL, the wisdom, knowledge, faith, and love. And the reason why members of his cult ended up suicide bombing him and blowing him up was
they were former members.
They were former members, but
because they're like, you're a phony.
Well, they were former
you're a
members,
big fat phony.
Because for one, they felt like he had embezzled money that they were giving to the church, as well as fornicated with their wives. He adulterated their wives. So they were like, you know what, you dying, sir. And so those two guys got together with some bombs, blew this dude up, along with killing, I think, seven other
10
innocent people.
I think it was 10 bystanders.
Yeah. But then later on in the future, the cross ends up getting blown up as well.
Kaboom!
Kabuya. Kabuya kasha.
You're a big fat phony.
So he was murdered in a suicide bombing by two of his followers who believed he had embezzled from the organization and committed adultery with their wives. 9 others also died in the explosion, which may have been the genesis of the legend about the 9 murdered wives buried at Kay's Cross.
He's a big fat phony.
Big fat phony. So yeah, what did you think about all the stories about Kay's Cross and being haunted and all that?
So I know a lot of locals investigators have been there, and we reached out to them on Facebook, and a lot of people kind of said the same thing. There's not really a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, and there's only been 2 known deaths there where 2 people had committed suicide, and it wasn't a polygamous husband after killing his wives that he decided to kill himself. I think they were both, like young men who were ending their lives and decided to do it out there where it was quiet and nobody was around. But yeah, there was no mass deaths out there.
It's like, I want to add to the story, so I'm going to kill myself with the cross.
Right, yeah. Thinking that it's already got a lot of spooky stuff going on. But,
right, and then like people, remember my name.
Remember? So did you watch Ghost Adventures that episode out there?
I remember when it first aired and I watched part of it.
It was hard to watch. It was
Chris Angel was there.
Yeah, Chris Angel was there. Who would have thought Chris Angel would have showed up?
Chris Angel showed up. It's like, I come here a lot.
And like, of course it's just super over dramatized, and they find this stupid
the whole thing, like Zach wanting to touch the cross. I'm going to touch the cross. Just like he did with the Annabelle doll. I'm going to touch the doll.
I'm going to touch it.
I'm going to touch it.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to absorb its energy.
It's like he's Steve Irwin of the paranormal. It's like, you see that snake over there. I'm going to touch it. That was a terrible Australian accent, by the way. That's not, I don't know what the hell that was.
But the whole thing with finding this bag of spells of whatever the hell they found.
But they did that in that episode too?
Yeah, they sure did.
They found the bag of magic spells at Haunted
Hollow. Yep, they did the same shit here at Kay's Cross.
I wonder if they just carry that around with them and they just randomly find it everywhere they go.
I wonder if Chris Angel's planting magic bombs everywhere.
Because he was at Haunted Hollow too, wasn't he?
Sure fucking was.
That Chris Angel guy. You're a kooky guy, you.
Chris Angel and your magic tricks.
He's an illusionist.
Yeah.
Chris Angel is an illusionist.
And every time he's always dropping little magic bags everywhere he goes. Oh, look, another magic bag.
Look at this.
What's in here?
Illusion.
It's bag of spells. It's a bag of spells. You didn't see it.
How did that get here? What in the world could that be? He points like, it's like you see in the spoof movies.
It's hidden underneath things. What is that underneath all those things?
No, it's like in the spoof movies where they like draw their attention to like, what in the world could that be? And they point behind them. And everyone turns around and they drop it. Like, where did this come from? It wasn't there a second ago.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. This magic bag of spells just appeared out of thin air.
Oh man.
Thank you, Chris Angel, for providing us entertainment.
Right. And then just from that point on, the rest of the show just turned to shit. And it was just
I never understood where he's like, I feel like I need to touch it. And everyone's like, don't touch it when he's talking about the cross. And I think he went and stood on the cross at one point, and he's like, I've got mystical, magical powers.
Yeah,
I think he said
standing on the cross.
I think he said it like made him angry and aggressive, and like everything does on every
and
episode.
they probably got possessed by demons.
Yeah, most likely.
I stopped paying attention after that. I was like, this already has lost all credibility. And then I did the little research I did just now, just to be like, and it's all bullshit.
A bullshit.
A bullshit.
It's like that kid you see on the reels.
Yeah.
A bullshit.
A bullshit.
A bullshit.
It sure was. I never once really wanted to go investigate this place.
No, neither did I. Well, maybe once. Just because I want to check each place out.
I wanted to go look at it.
I wonder if this area is more or less haunted than Merker.
I think Merker would actually be more haunted.
I'm going to agree with you there. And we didn't find a whole lot at Merker.
No. We didn't find shit really at Merker. But people do experience shit at Merker. And I can believe why there would be some at Merker, just because there are, their physical bodies were buried there. So, their spirits could want to possibly stick around. Plus, that whole Finger Bang Highway. Yes. Who knows how many deaths happened there where they could just be
12. Yeah.
They're just wandering, banging away.
Yeah.
Banging away on the highway
12 times.
but yeah, so this place I never really cared to go investigate when they had public investigations to go, to do that.
I think our intuition was right on this one. You want to hear what some of the local investigators have said about this place?
Go on.
So we reached out on a paranormal community group here in Utah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the engagement, by the way, guys.
Yes. We really appreciate everyone that kind of gave us the information, because we were thinking about going there, taking pictures of us on the cross.
Yeah,
but what remains of it.
But it's kind of cold.
It's cold, but the other problem is it's private property, and we don't want to get arrested. Yeah. I mean, I know we could probably reach out to the owners of the land.
We could, but we'd also have to walk out there.
We'd have to walk. Yeah, that was actually the biggest turn off for us. Is, hey, it looks like a long walk.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's just talk to people.
We're both a little fat.
Yeah, both a little.
We just ate some really good burgers, so we're just kind of let's play darts instead. Yeah, I think that was the better option.
Damn right it was.
We had a local paranormal team. They actually sent us their video. We watched it. We actually thought your video was really cool on some of your equipments. You had don't know the team name. I know the
Broken Wings.
Broken Wings. Thank you. So thanks to Broken Wings. I don't know if I'll ever hear this, but thank you for reaching out to us.
Yeah, I like that radio ghost, the spirit box with the reverb. That was.
It kind of looks like the portal, but it sounds like it works way better.
That was they built that themselves.
Yeah, so it was really cool. They
have a lot more questions on that.
They did have some pretty good responses on their spirit box and some of their other equipment. But they said they went a couple of years ago. They did get permission to go there, stay in overnight from the owners. They said they got some stuff, but not enough to make them want to keep going back.
Right. And I think if anything, that there would be those two spirits of the people that killed themselves there. And
probably that's it.
That and if there were any, before settling on the land, there could have been some things that have been on the land prior.
Quite possibly, yeah.
But other than that, I really don't think there's much there.
Here's one that I thought was really interesting. So our friend Michelle, she comes on a lot of investigations with us. We've known her for a while. She said that she's been there several times. She did have a few interesting things that happened to her there, including somehow a small piece of the cross that had thrown at her. But she's not sure who or what threw it, but it landed in her hoodie. And she had no idea it was there until she got home and it fell out onto the floor. She kept putting it on her nightstand and she could not stop looking at it or thinking about it. It was like consuming her thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. And she says it was only about a quarter of an inch long, and she was obsessed with this stupid thing, right? So she couldn't figure out why she was obsessed with it, but the next time she went back, she took it back with her and gave it to a friend so he could hide it from her there at the cross. So she wouldn't grab it and bring it back home with her. Now, he did go hide it in a place, where she wouldn't find it, somewhere there up at the cross. And she thought she'd be good and she'd lose interest in the rock, but she actually went back to look for it. And she wasn't sure why she's looking for it. She thinks maybe it was to take it home on purpose, but she couldn't find the thing. So her friend did her a favor and hit it real good. She's not sure what it all means, but the energy was really weird. And she thought the whole experience was weird, that she was just focused on what she calls a stupid little piece of rock.
Now, being me and how dumb I can be, I would have done something to screw with her, and I would have said I hit it, and then I would have left it on her front doorstep the next day. just to be funny.
So our friend Diana, she says she's been there quite a bit. Again, she mentions there's the no trespassing sign. If you go there, you'll be arrested. You will be prosecuted.
Shot by a assault gun.
Prosecuted, actually.
Prostituted and shot by
she
assault
said nothing
gun.
about assault gun. I'm going off of what she said. So quit being you for just a second, and let me read what she said. No trespassing, prosecuted. She says she hasn't been there in quite a while, but it's one of her favorite places to investigate, and she's had a lot of crazy things happen there.
She did not get shot by assault gun.
She did not get prosecuted or prostituted with assault gun. And then there's some other people that you can message them on Facebook. They'll let you in. But yeah, the haunted attraction thing, no more. They stopped.
Yeah, they stopped it. I think they only did that for 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, I think so. So it looks like it's mixed opinions. Some people are like, yeah, there's not really anything there. Other people are like, oh no, I get tons of stuff there. So
yeah,
there's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Let's get prostituted.
Let's go get prostituted and shot by assault.
In the butt. That just went downhill real quick.
But yeah, I don't think I'll ever investigate that location.
Probably not me either.
But
mainly because like calling the owner just sounds like a lot of work. Actually, it's just the walking.
It's a whole lot of walking. I don't want to.
I'm sure like if the owners were like someone that lived in one of those houses there, where we could just like go from their backyard to the cross.
Yeah, it looks like there's deer flies and mosquitoes back there. I'm good.
No, it's not even that. It doesn't, to me, like watching some of these videos, I didn't really feel like there was actually anything there.
No, I wasn't really getting much watching that as well.
Like we probably watched like 6 or 7 different YouTube videos plus the Ghost Adventures episode.
Yeah.
It just didn't really feel like there was any spirits there.
Whole lot of illusions.
Yep.
Whole lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yes. From Chris Angel.
From Chris Angel. But
so yeah.
Christmas time is coming up, though.
Christmas time is coming up. So if you want to buy that special someone in your life some ghost hunting equipment, check out our affiliate link to ghoststop.com and buy some of the best ghost hunting gear available on the market right now. And then if you've been to Case Cross, if you want to share some stories that you have with us, you can email us at evp.pod@gmail.com. And then you can also check out DVO's paranormal video reactions and Facebook and Instagram at evp.pod.
Yeah, tell us some stories from Case Cross. Change my mind.
Yeah.
Ghosts, you don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
This is the EVP Podcast.